This is the special meeting of the Board of Fire Commissioners. The date is Tuesday, August 18th, 2020, and it's about 9:02 in the morning. Can we have roll call, please?
Ibarra.
Here.
Glazier. Hara.
Here.
Thank
Here.
you. Thank you. Ninberg.
Here.
Woods Gray.
Here.
Okay. Just Fire Chief Terrazas.
Here.
Assistant City Attorney Raffish.
Here.
Okay. Commissioner Glazier, if you are on and calling one of the 4 telephone numbers listed, you'll need to unmute yourself. Just let us know during the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, so can we have flag salute and a moment of silence?
Would everybody please join me in standing? Place your right hand over your heart. Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now please join me in a moment of silence in honor of past and present members of the Los Angeles City Fire Department who devoted their lives to the protection of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. So we start with report of the fire chief.
Your report. Okay. Thank you, Madam President. There was just a few events in the past couple weeks. August 5th, I joined Mayor Garcetti at Lincoln Park to announce that we had surpassed 1 million Angelenos in public testing since the start of the coronavirus back in March. Our relationship with CORE volunteers, Mayor's office, the curative drug lab is very effective, and it continues as we speak. On August 15th, I attended, as well as several hundred members of our department, the funeral for Jose M. Perez. Jose Perez was the first LAFD member to die from the coronavirus. He leaves behind 3 young children, Adrian, Kaylee, and Jace, and his wife Heidi. I was very proud of our department, the support that we have provided, and we will continue to support his family. And lastly, I have some congratulations in anticipating the reappointment of Commissioner Hara. Dr. Hara has been our commissioner more than 6 years. That was before I was appointed. He has been very dedicated to representing the department at multiple events. He was there at the funeral on Saturday. He is a true public servant, as you know. He's there testing down at MLK. And Dr. Hara, thank you for your service and congratulations on your reappointment. That concludes my
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Let the record reflect that Commissioner Glazier joined the meeting at 9:03 a.m.
Great. Now we're at consent agenda items. There's 4 matters.
Ms. Gomez, are there any comments regarding any of the consent agenda items?
No.
We should reflect that we did get 1 public comment, but it was in writing, but it wasn't related to anything on the agenda, and it was circulated to all the commissioners before the start of the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So do I have a motion for the consent agenda items?
Move to adopt items 2A through D.
Thank you. With the academic school year beginning this week, the superintendent of Glendale.
Was that Commissioner Woods Gray who seconded?
Commissioner Woods Gray second.
Thank you.
Superintendent Vivian
Great.
says 20 of the district's
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Some empty
And somebody has a television in the background.
I think it's Commissioner Hara.
Oh, okay.
Commissioner Hara?
Any opposed? Okay.
Okay, good. All right, so then we have one regular agenda item. If we can, verbal update from the department's response to coronavirus.
Morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Assistant City Attorney Raffish and Letty, Deputy Chief Graham Everett, I'm the Chief of Staff, providing you a few numbers and some updates on our COVID response. As of this morning, we've had 159 members of the department test positive for COVID, 155 sworn and 4 civilian. Of those, all 4 civilians have returned to full duty, and 147 sworn members have returned to duty, and we have 7 sworn members that are remaining in isolation. That number is down. At our height, we had about 64 members in isolation at one time, and that number has come down dramatically. To assist us with maintaining a COVID-free environment in our workplaces, the department continues to take temperatures twice a day, continues to mandate decontamination procedures and wearing of PPE throughout the department at all work locations. We've also started a temperature check dashboard, so supervisors have the ability to ensure that their membership is adhering to department policies on taking their temperatures, and that's really our first sign of somebody that may have an infection. Moving on to our testing numbers, as the Chief mentioned, we're up and over 1 million tests provided at our sites that we've been working with from the beginning. We're actually at 1.1 million tests provided within the city, and the Los Angeles Fire Department has been instrumental, along with CORE, providing those tests for all Angelenos. There's 6 drive-through testing sites, and last week they were able to test 67,000 folks coming through the 6 testing sites. Those sites are up and running. Over the weekend, they had a couple of sites shut down for the heat that was coming through, but all in all, those sites are remaining open and obviously seeing a lot of people on a daily basis. In addition to that, we have a couple of walk-in testing sites, and we're supporting that effort as well. Last week, those sites generated 1,500 tests just on walk-ups alone. Another part of our testing platform is the mobile testing sites, and so we're assisting with public housing in different locations throughout the city. The mobile testing sites, last week were at 5,200 tests provided, and then finally we also work with the assisted living and the skilled nursing facilities and other facilities throughout the city to provide testing wherever and whenever we can. This effort, as the Chief mentioned, we wouldn't be able to pull this effort off without our partnership with CORE and the volunteer group that they have working alongside of us. I'm available for any questions, and that's all I have for you today on our report back.
So one of the questions that I have is that when we first started doing testing, that we thought that it was going to be a temporary part of our mission, and that eventually we would be able to transition this perhaps to CORE or to some other agency. So, almost 6 months into this, we're still doing it. Now we're looking at fire season has already started. So I'm just wondering if there's a departmental plan for either transitioning the testing or how we're going to manage workload with these multiple emergencies.
Madam President, I'll answer that. Excellent question. We developed a plan probably in May on how to minimize our footprint. And we've been reducing our staffing commitment all along. As CORE was able to get more people to volunteer, we've been able to reduce our staffing simultaneously. We do believe that we're going to have to continue with the logistical support, the ground support, the setting up of the sites, We do have location managers at each of the 6 city sites. I do think that the staffing allotment at this time is doable. With the upcoming brush season, we're able to balance both things. This pandemic is a new world for us, and we've been learning as we've been progressing through the pandemic. We have become very innovative and creative in how we deliver the testing, always with the mindset, though, that we have to minimize our footprint because of the upcoming brush season. Already we've had deployments to multiple brush fires, the Lake Fire, the Apple Fire. Our helicopters have gone to more fires than that. We have overhead personnel throughout the state. And I don't anticipate this changing significantly, the staffing footprint, for several months. Not only do we have to wait for a vaccination, but there's going to take time for vaccinations to reach the population. So we have the mindset that we're going to be in this mode for quite some time, and we've been monitoring it on a regular basis. I do have a standing meeting every Thursday with all the entities engaged in public testing. So your question is spot on, and that was my concern from day one, because this was an area we've never been involved with before. But I'm now more confident than ever that we made the right decision. We stepped up, and there's not any other department in our city that could do what we're doing. So bottom line is we're here to protect lives and property, and I believe public testing is in alignment with that mission.
Oh, Delia, you're muted.
Muted myself.
There you go.
Sorry. So my other question is, so the other big issue is for us is fire prevention, and the Boyd Street fire was related to some fire prevention issues. So that's also, I mean, it impacts, in terms of what I'm seeing from like what the public wants the fire department to do is, you know, those two things also need to continue to happen. And so I'm just wondering, because I know that a lot of people who are working the testing sites come from fire prevention, how that's working. Because in addition to the wildfires, like, we need to continue to work on Fire Prevention Bureau issues. So how's that going in relation to testing?
In relation to the testing.
Is it detracting from that mission, that part of our mission?
Thank you for that question. And it's timely, too. Tomorrow we're doing a press conference at the Grossman Burn Center with several of our firefighters who survived the Boyd Street fire. Happy to report that I'd say about a month ago now, Victor Gary, Captain Gary, was the last member released from County USC from the burn ward. He's got a long road ahead of his recovery, but he's in good spirits, and we think it's just a matter of time before he comes back. Now, in regards to where we're at, our inspectors, we've minimized their footprint with the public testing. There still are some, but we're utilizing different staffing models, people that are on light duty, voluntary overtime, things like that. Our inspections continue. I just got a report yesterday from Chief Crowley, our fire marshal. Right after the Boyd Street incident, we launched our windshield survey to identify those types of occupancies in every fire station district throughout the city. We identified 382 occupancies by our field members. Of those, about 160 or so we found were not in the system. We have closed down 11 businesses that were operating without our knowledge because they had excessive hazardous material storage. The value in the survey was that, number one, we could capture a citywide snapshot of those businesses that existed without our knowledge. Number two, we could get them in our system so that they could be inspected on an annual basis by inspectors. And number three, firefighter safety, in that the situational awareness would be improved because when they're inspected, we're able to put a sign out in front with the 704 diamond placard indicating the types of hazardous materials that exist inside. I believe had that signage been in place at the Boyd Street incident, our firefighters would not have been so aggressive and would have gotten off the roof sooner.
Chief, perhaps we can bring this back to the coronavirus, only because we're straying off the agenda.
And in conclusion, my point is this, that we're able to do all these things, and our inspectors they're not a significant amount of staffing for our public testing.
Thank you.
I have a question. So just going back to the staffing footprint related to the testing. So if you're thinking about the department doing the testing, as far as our role in the testing, how much of the department is still operating in sort of, let's call it, normal operations, recognizing there's a new normal here, but which is to say they are occupied primarily with their designated mission versus this sort of temporary mission of testing. So, which is to say, who is being taken up, whose time is really being focused on the testing right now? Which bureaus? Is large amounts of the command staff being focused on this? Can you explain that a little bit more?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner. Primarily, our EMS Bureau is the main bureau impacted. We do have field officers who have been detailed, like Katie Kepner. We have site managers, like I said earlier, at each of the locations. That's 6 managers. We have people dedicated through Chief Saunders for the mobile testing, and Chief Hardaway. Chief Fortman has been the primary lead for the entire effort. I don't have an exact number. We could have that number for you at our next meeting, but suffice to say that the command staff from EMS Bureau largely has been responsible for managing this effort.
Gotcha. So do you feel like over that our efforts are going to be contained from a staffing standpoint over time, recognizing we're going to be doing this for a while, right? Do you feel like that's going to really be kind of contained to EMS then? And if that's the case, is there semi-permanent staffing to augment that bureau to allow them to continue to do everything else that they need to do as well? And are those changes that you can implement quickly so that we can meet the staffing needs there while still allowing the department to pursue all the normal stuff that you guys need to do?
Good question, Commissioner. My response to that is we're making it work. By using our light duty personnel, by using our voluntary overtime personnel, and with strategic details from EMS Bureau, we're making it work. Work does continue to go on in the EMS Bureau. The regular day-to-day activities still happen. When needed, we task some of our field members to do things that may have previously done by our special duty people. So we are functional and prepared to continue this for as long as necessary.
Yes, sure. So without casting doubt on the question of whether people are making it work, which I understand that if nothing else, this department makes it work when they have to. Right. I guess where I'm going with this is, look, we're going to be doing this until probably next March, best case scenario, right? And it could be July, right? I recognize I'm just sort of reading the tea leaves here, and that's my opinion. But from everything I've read, best case for a wide-scale vaccination program is, Q2 of next year. So if we've got 8 months to go, right, might it make sense at this point for us to actually have a semi-permanent staffing plan to put in place that's just going to be a carve-out that they do so that we just know on a permanent basis, and when I say permanent, I mean until the end of the pandemic, who's doing this, and then, everybody else is kind of running, it just brings a little bit of certainty to how we're running things, versus I think we've all been hoping that this was going to be as temporary as possible, but I think what's becoming clear is that it's not going to be temporary, and to your remarks earlier, you're going to be in the coronavirus business, right, for the foreseeable future. So if that's the case, maybe it makes sense for us to have some kind of a permanent detail where we're saying, look, this is the staffing on this, and this is the allocation until June, and here's what we're, everybody else is, able to kind of have some certainty in terms of what their job entails. Is that possible to do, and possible for us to actually see at an upcoming meeting agendize like a temp org chart where we can see how this looks for the next 9 months?
Good question, Commissioner. The consistency that you're seeking is happening. Chief Fortman, Chief Saunders, Chief Kepner, they have been key in each of those areas, and the field supports us. For example, Chief Kepner is assigned to the field, but since the beginning, she's been detailed to the testing. Right. So we have field people working her shifts in the field, so we have consistency in what Chief Kepner is doing for public testing. Mm-hmm. So that's how our department is designed to, when needed, pull resources from the field to support other efforts. We've also delegated, like to LAPD, we were testing all their officers, and we let them know that we'll train the trainer, but we cannot continue to do that because it was taxing our people. The skilled nursing facilities, after we trained them up, we set them up on a regular testing schedule where the tests were delivered, and then they did the test, and then they were mailed back to Curative, the lab. The mobile testing group led by Chief Saunders. Chief Saunders detailed from Fire Prevention Bureau, and the other chiefs are stepping up behind him in the Bureau to compensate for his time away. But he's making it work, because it's not full time. And he's been key, and his people have been key in testing people experiencing homeless in Skid Row, being mobile, going throughout the city to various homeless encampments, as well as the housing developments, which was another new mission, as well as pop-up testing sites. Yeah. They would pick a busy intersection throughout the city, and they would deliver hundreds of tests that day. So we can give you a report of the staffing model, and that's not a problem.
Yeah. So look, I don't want to be misheard. I'm not critical of the effort, right? Nor do I think you're misallocating resources in any way. What I'm asking for is, look, let's get out of the like this is a temp, we're making it work mentality, and into a this is the future for us, for as far as we can see, and this is our coronavirus strike team, right? That's going to be doing this until further notice, and in the time that they are detailed from their current assignment, which is effectively permanent, right, until further notice, right? I think it would be helpful for the commission to know, to say, this is the coronavirus response team, right? You could call it a response team, you could call it a task force, you could call it a tiger team. I don't care what you call it, right? It's just, here's what the team is, and they'll be doing this until next June. So, and so during that time, right, they're not doing their normal thing. Somebody else is. And that just, I think that gives us a sense of like, okay, here's who was assigned to this job for the foreseeable future, they're out of their normal assignment until then, which is likely next June 2021. Versus to like, hey, they're detailed, which could mean like, oh, they're coming back or moving them around, right? It's just, this has become, right, whether we like it or not, this has become part of the mission. So if that's the case, then, you know, what does a permanent staffing model look like that's going to carry us through for an entire year?
I think I get where you're going. We do have that document existing through the testing branch incident action plan.
Okay.
Every position is labeled by the person in charge of that.
Okay.
And many times it's not a clean break from your current special duty assignment. You try to manage both. So I don't want you to think that.
Part of what I'm asking is that a good idea considering the fact that this is going to be going on for a year? Or do we need to actually make some decisions as a department and just say, look, they don't have to do both anymore because they can't do both. It's too much to ask for a year, and something's got to give. And if that's the case, then, you know, then that's a decision that, unfortunately, I think it's come to say, hey, look, this is a reassignment for a year. You know, we're not taking anything away from anybody, right? But the idea of us doing both for a full year, right after we've already been doing it for 3.5 months, I guess I'm questioning the sustainability of that approach versus saying this is a semi-permanent assignment and we have to recognize what it is. Here's who's assigned. Hey, everybody, like, don't bother these people with other stuff. They've got this thing to do. In the same way as, like, look, if we had a lengthy campaign fire that was going, and that would be like temporary for 3 or 4 weeks, we wouldn't expect somebody to be doing 2 jobs. They'd be either on the brush fire or not. And, you know, and then they come back to it when they're done. But this is, I think we got to look at this as a long-term campaign and make some assignments here. And that way we can know who's doing what. And it just helps me understand, okay, where are the department resources that are sitting here? You know, and we have some expectation of, you know, these are things that are going to be on hold because there's nobody in that position right now. These are things that are going to move forward because somebody's been moved into that position. It just, I feel like until we reach that point, it all feels very, like, it feels temporary. It feels like we're not acknowledging, like, fully the truth of the circumstance. That's all I'm saying, right? I'm not questioning our ability to make it work, right? But I'm saying is making it work for too long, eventually it's going to break, or you're going to break people. So maybe we have to do that, and maybe that's a request for resources there to do that, and that I don't know if they exist or not, but you know, that's what I'm asking for. And so maybe a full report on this sometime in the next, you know, 2 to 4 weeks, just to say, here is the plan for June. These are the assignments. They're semi-permanent. Here's how we're backfilling. But these people are out until this is done.
Commissioner, I think that because commission has been detached for so long,
yeah,
you may have gotten the impression that this is piecemeal. But we've been meeting weekly. And at the start of this, we were meeting daily with Zoom calls, but I still continue weekly discussions with each of the main players in the testing branch every Thursday, and you're welcome to attend.
I feel
let me just finish my thought, Commissioner. The other thing, the limiting factor to get more people is we need more budget, and we're in deficit already because of the pandemic and the economic impact. So that's not an option to hire more people. So we are using our current model to take from the field as needed to support the special duty effort for the public testing. We will provide you with the public testing branch. It has everybody's name, and you're invited to the weekly meeting, the Zoom call meeting every Thursday. And we'll provide you any other document you would like on top of that.
Right. I am not under the impression it is piecemeal. Right? I think again, let me try to communicate this differently. I understand there is an organized way in which you are working to deal with this, and I have no criticism of that. What I'm suggesting is that when you use words like people are detailed, right, or they are pulling from the field and people are going back and forth, what that feels to me is that it's a temporary approach versus a permanent approach, right? And we are going to be doing this permanently for the foreseeable future, and we don't know when that will end, but I think we know at the very least it's going to be at least 9 months and maybe a year. So if that's the case, then rather than it be kind of pulling from the field, what I'm asking to see is a set of permanent details here, right, that are detailed until further notice, and that is the coronavirus team until it's done, and that is their job, right? And if there's something that's going to give that we can't do, then let's understand what it is that's got to give instead of pretending that we can do everything for the next year, when that is clearly not the case for the reasons you've enumerated, which is they've got a lot to do, it's not going away, and there's no more budget. So I accept that reality, and what I'm saying is, okay, what does that mean? And what I don't accept is that doesn't mean anything for us. Nothing will change, because that's not true. So, and the detachment in part for the commission, I think, comes from the fact that I don't know that we can make any requests to anybody for anything right now, because I don't know who's completely consumed with coronavirus response at this point. So I'm afraid to ask people for any information even right now, because I don't know if I'm stepping on some sort of emergency testing program. So I would love to know, and I think other commissioners might as well, who is permanently assigned that we should not bother, right? Because that is all they're working on. And who is really doing more or less business as usual for the next year, right? Or for the foreseeable future, so that we know who we can talk to and we can understand who is handling the business as usual stuff. So it will be helpful to know, this is the team. They are assigned there. That's what they're doing until next June, right? And again, I'm not saying it's piecemeal. I'm not saying that the effort is slipshod in any way. You have my praise and admiration for the response in terms of how you are dealing with the current situation. That's not it. But we have to come back to some sort of new normal here, right? So that we know what's happening and we know how we can proceed and how the department is continuing with everything they're doing and what's got to give on that. And I accept that things have to give. I believe everybody does.
So, Commissioner Glazier, are you requesting a report back from the department at the next meeting concerning the current structure and whether and to what extent that structure has been made permanent or semi-permanent during the period of the pandemic?
That is more or less correct. And
okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I look forward to the report.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have any other comments from commissioners? If not, we can move on to, we have commissioner comments on a general issue next.
Are there any public comment at all? Any public comment? I don't see any. Leticia, any public comment at all before we move on the item?
Hello. I'm trying.
That sounds like Fred Escobar.
Hello, hello.
It's Leticia. So Fred, you have 2 minutes, as you know. So
are you giving public comment, Fred, on the report on the coronavirus, or in general public comment?
A report that was just discussed between the fire chief and the commission.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, so you have 2 minutes, Fred. So Fred Escobar from UFLAC.
Okay, thank you. I can't see you, but it's great hearing everybody. First, I'd like to commend Chief Terrazas and his entire staff for the work that they're doing. With this minimal, really, staffing that we have in the field, representing the brothers and sisters, we are tired. As the fire chief said, we're doing everything we can, what we're asked of, not only that we're obligated to do, but above and beyond, and we're just running lean. One of the things that the fire chief did not mention is the other day that we did a augment staffing, which means that the bureaus thought that they would need additional resources out in the field, which was correct because of the brush fires, the heat, and the members that are on special duty, that are able to work, that it's their assigned hire code, that are detailed to the COVID-19, they still have an obligation to the field to do overtime, something that we met and conferred. I would love to take Andrew Glazier on a ride along outside of the Hill and show him what the brothers and sisters are doing on a daily basis. And what he's asking for is a plan that cannot exist on constant staffing because those are meet and confer items. Thank you very much for your time.
Do we have any more public comment on this item?
No. Okay, so then we can just move on. We don't need a vote. The next item is commissioner comments and then public comments. So let's start with commissioner comments. Who wants to go first?
Sure, I'll go. So I want to make sure in my comments that people don't miss my point. It sounds like my point may have been missed. I am concerned about the workload in the department right now, given the additional mission. And what I am hoping for is that we recognize what we cannot do so that we don't burn out our employees, our field, our men and women in the field. And that is why I'm asking for what I'm asking for. I am not suggesting that we can do more. I'm actually suggesting that we cannot do more. And I want to make sure that people who are listening understand what I'm saying here, which is not do more. It's let's recognize we can't do it all and just accept that point and figure out what's got to give.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Commissioner Woods Gray raised her hand.
Thank you. Why don't you go ahead, Commissioner?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, I'd like to offer my condolences to the family of Jose Perez. Such a young man, and it was just that was devastating to me that we would lose one person to that to the COVID virus. And I'm praying for the family and for the department because I'm sure that's heavy on your hearts also. I also wanted to let you know that I am a Biden delegate, and I am attending the Democratic Convention this week. We're doing it virtually, as we do everything. I'll be hopping off of this call onto another call as we move through the. And I'm happy to say that my brothers and sisters in the fire department, the International Brotherhood of Firefighters, were also early on supporters of Joe Biden. That was great. And so we were all thinking the same way there. I would like to have, I look forward to the time when we have the update on the racial equity plan as directed by the mayor in Directive 27. I'd like to have, I remember we talked about this at the last meeting. And I have been in contact with Chief Wright. So I am aware of the fact that, and thank you, Chief Everett, for your for the draft of the report that's going forth. I also would like to have an update on the drill tower 81 and the Boyd Street incident, staffing and the cause of the fire, if that's possible at a meeting, because those somehow with these Zoom meetings, all lose touch with a lot of things. And but I would like to keep up with some of the things that are still happening in the department that are of interest to me. And so thank you very much, and thanks for the comment time.
Sure. Do we have other commissioners, Nimberg and Dr. Hara?
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Yes, I also want to offer my condolences to the Perez family. It is deeply tragic, this loss, and I also want to thank the department for taking on this huge response to the coronavirus pandemic. You know, I'm also concerned about the department, and I believe, as Union President Escobar mentioned, they're tired. Everybody's tired. I understand that, and I also would like to make sure that we are doing whatever we can, and I know the department does the best it can and has responded above and beyond, and that is what the LAFD always does, above and beyond. We do have one of the very best departments in the world. I do want to also say, and to Commissioner Glazer's point, what are our limitations? And if we can, I look forward to that report as well. Thank you so much for all of this. And to Commissioner Woods-Gray, I would also like to see the reports that we had requested. If we could, I believe there's, you know, the diversity report would be fantastic. The gender report would be fantastic. If we could get those as well, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you all for everything that you're doing to keep all of us safe.
Dr. Hara, I know you're on the field on a testing site, actually. So I don't know if you want to, if you have any comments or.
Yeah, I'm muted now, and thankfully it's relatively quiet here right at this moment. But you know, just reminding everyone, I've been managing the what was originally Charles River University and Martin Luther King Hospital COVID testing site, along with the county fire department. And the county lifeguards, basically, and then just this past 2 weeks, we moved, and we are only a walk-up clinic now. So we only do walk-up testing currently, and we're doing about 400 tests a day. When we were at the combined walk-up and drive-through testing site, literally across the street from where we are right now, we're doing about 1,000 to 1,200 tests a day. Now we're down to about 400, and the drive-through function of our test site now is the Inglewood Forum. So the Inglewood Forum was not testing very many people more recently, and now they're up to about 400 or 500. So we're still testing, you know, about the same number of people with the walk-up testing here at MLK, and then the Inglewood Forum test as well. I did attend the Jose Perez celebration of life, and it was incredibly moving. You know, the traditional, you know, bagpipes and the ringing of the bells and everything, but they also had a release of white doves where family members were given white doves, and they released them, and then they released a flock of white doves to augment. Once again, all of the comments that were made, we're talking about the loss of, you know, a father of 3 kids, but really a really important member of the fire department who was always from the fire station to greet anyone new and basically tell them, I got your back. And I mean, that came through repeatedly by a number of individuals, and he likewise had the same commitment to his family. He took care of his aging mom, and as well as that, that family that had 10 additional siblings, they adopted 2 more nephews with the death of their father. So basically, once again, incredibly moving event, and of course they had the flyover with the missing man formation and what have you. But everything about it, you left, recognizing that we really lost a very important individual, and as Mayor Garcetti indicated, as he often does with the loss of someone, we truly did lose an angel in the city of angels. So I'll go back on mute.
Thank you, Dr. Hara. Do we have, of course, I want to share in the sentiments about the loss of, one of our members who was beloved and who will be missed and just heart emergency. Do we have any other public comments? Leticia? There is one. I don't know who it is, but why don't you go ahead? It's 323682. I don't know who the person is. I think, can you unmute yourself? You have your hand raised. 1323682. Okay, go ahead. Identify yourself.
Yes. Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council North Region Director. We have a situation between Los Angeles City and the city of South Pasadena. South Pasadena Planning Commission approved a fire route and haul route going on Lowell Avenue in 90032 zip code, El Sereno. They approved it without any participation by the city of Los Angeles, either Board of Building and Safety and or the fire department. So they have actually done a curvature that seems to be wrong for the turning of a fire truck from Lowell to the Moffett private street extension. So I'm trying to figure out how they can approve it when it's LA City. And it would serve up to 20 houses in a new development that is being planned or capable. So we're quite concerned regarding LA Fire Department and its participation and or lack thereof in the Moffett private street extension by the city of South Pasadena. That's all.
Thank you. We did get also your written comment, which I think was in relevance to this issue, and our Fire Prevention Bureau is already looking into it, and we'll get back to you. So thank you so much. That is, I think, all of the public comments. I see no others. So I think we can adjourn. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn in the hopes that it provides some comfort to the family. I ask that we adjourn in honor of firefighter paramedic Jose Perez.
And I assume all the commissioners second that.
Second. A second.
So motion to voting aye. Can I have the vote? I don't know where Leticia is, so we need to vote now. Vote to adjourn. Say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good week.